Specific details of the Cyber Pearl Harbor cannot be known in advance, but the general outline of the scenario can be described with some certainty by relying on the history of previous instances of strategic surprise attack. A militarily inferior opponent will utilize a cyber attack in conjunction with conventional military operations to present the United States with a fait accompli, probably at surprisingly minimal cost in death and destruction. This failure of deterrence will occur in an unanticipated manner and might even be abetted by technological surprise, utilizing unrecognized technological vulnerabilities, undertaking heretofore unimagined types of operations, exploiting operating errors, triggering ineffective standard operating procedures, or causing catastrophic cascade effects. The cyber attack itself will be highly asymmetric in the sense that the attacks will be subtle and undertaken at relatively minimal cost, but they will incapacitate extraordinarily powerful forces developed and deployed at enormous expense. The impact of the Cyber Pearl Harbor will be temporarily and geographically limited, but it will have a lasting political and strategic impact on U.S. interests. The Cyber Pearl Harbor will confront the United States with a decision to fight or to accept a significant political or military setback given deterrence failure and an altered strategic setting. The opponent will expect that the United States will not bring the full force of its superior military capability to bear to return to the status quo antebellum. The architects of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, for example, informed their political leaders that they could give them free rein in the Pacific for 6 months, suggesting that a rapid diplomatic settlement was in their interests. Although that estimate turned out to be a bit optimistic, it might still serve as the operational time horizon for a future opponent that risks its fate on a cyber Pearl Harbor. Policymakers and officers have demonstrated an increasing recognition of this scenario. Their repeated references to a potential cyber Pearl Harbor reflect a growing appreciation of the threat faced by the United States. What is missing is a ready solution to mitigate the threat. Technical solutions to the problem seem unavailable. As soon as technical vulnerabilities are identified and mitigated, new vulnerabilities are discovered and are even created by patches that address known problems. Operational or tactical solutions to cyber vulnerabilities are difficult to devise and implement because of the inability to bridge professional, cultural, and bureaucratic divisions within a complex defense establishment that privileges the interests of warfighters over other elements of an information-enabled military. The asymmetric threat posed by cyber attack is noted, but solutions to the problem are largely confined to technical matters that must be executed in a way that preserves bureaucratic and professional preferences. Intelligence is unlikely to produce specific event predictions in sufficient time for policymakers or officers to identify and select appropriate technical, tactical, or operational responses. It thus might be suggested that the best way to deal with the possibility of a cyber Pearl Harbor is to prevent it from happening in the first place. In other words, a strategic solution to the problem of bolstering deterrence might be the best way to prevent the scenario from unfolding. The exact deterrent strategy to be adopted, however, requires clarification. Deterrent strategies based on punishment, for example, inflicting prompt damage out of proportion to the gains achieved through aggression, or retaliation, for example, inflicting death and destruction until an opponent abandons their ill-gotten gains or alters unwanted behavior, will not be effective because those contemplating a strategic attack have deliberately developed their plans with an eye towards nullifying those types of strategies. The attacker hopes to alter the political and strategic calculus of the victim of surprise in a way that reduces their incentives to act on previously stated deterrent threats based on punishment and retaliation. Instead of deterrence by retaliation or punishment, deterrence by denial offers the most promising path to prevent the occurrence of the cyber Pearl Harbor. Denial implies a recognition of the threat of cyber surprise attack and the adoption of proactive programs to decrease an opponent's confidence that a cyber attack will actually succeed. There are several general ways to bolster deterrence by denial. Information systems, for instance, might be more closely integrated in an organic fashion in operational units, decreasing their reliance on a single operating network. War games and experiments might be conducted to test and operate systems or combat units in a situation where information systems are degraded in an effort to design wartime protocols or workarounds. Wartime systems might be developed so that they could be constituted in times of national emergency to replace systems and networks that have been compromised by cyber attack. Most importantly, information systems need to evolve continuously to prevent them from becoming a static target that can be exploited by long-term efforts by potential opponents. By creating an ever-changing operational picture, potential opponents might never have the confidence that they have managed to penetrate the information systems in a way that may produce strategic damage against U.S. warfighting capabilities. A dynamic deterrence by denial effort cannot eliminate all of the vulnerabilities that are inherent to an information-based military, but it can reduce an opponent's confidence that a solution to their military inferiority can be found in an asymmetric attack. The key is to deny the opponent the confidence that some ingenious, albeit extraordinarily risky, plan might actually succeed in gaining an immediate fait accompli. For the stronger party, this effort must occur in peacetime. In war, the opening move is granted to the side launching a strategic surprise attack.